Good evening, and thank you for joining us. After multiple mainland tutorial centers were found to recruit students and run classes in the name of Hong Kong private schools, the Education Bureau has flagged several more schools suspected of running such shell schools. These schools have been included in the government watch list. The Bureau has also issued a letter to all Hong Kong schools reminding them of the need to truthfully submit their list of students to authorities. In recent weeks, some Hong Kong private schools were found to allow mainland tutorial centers to operate classes under their name, enabling mainland students to sit the Hong Kong Diploma of Secondary Education exams as Hong Kong students. After these so-called shell schools came to light, the Education Bureau has pledged a rollout of short, medium, and long-term measures to crack down on such practices. They include surprise inspections and the register of compliant private schools. Speaking with TVB News, Acting Secretary for Education Jeff See says the Bureau has sent letters to all Hong Kong schools encompassing government, subsidized, and private schools, spotlighting 4 points of compliance. First, schools may not partner with third-party operators without being given the green light by the Education Bureau. Second, all fees collected must receive Bureau approval. Publicity and promotional materials must be factual and toe the regulatory guidelines. And schools are required to submit a list of students to authorities in line with Bureau requirements. While schools already file such student lists to the Education Bureau annually, the Bureau stresses these reports must be truthful and accurate.
When
asked if schools should report the student lists more often, Jeff See says the Bureau conducts headcounts at schools when the new school year starts. As for private schools, authorities also undertake surprise inspections to ensure legal operations and compliance as well as to verify the headcounts. The Bureau adds that it would also focus on schools facing admissions or financial difficulties in addition to acting on serious complaints. See says they wish to root out the black sheep from the education system and not let the handful of opportunistic schools to tarnish the reputation of Hong Kong education. On whether the Bureau received any more tip-offs, See says complaints are received from time to time with some schools already on their concern list. Authorities have requested submission of relevant information from such institutions flagged for further probes. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury Christopher Hui says the task force dedicated to reviewing the government's procurement regime will focus on whether more staff training is needed. After Chief Executive Johnny expressed his great disappointment with the Government Logistics Department's failure to serve its gatekeeping role, Treasury Chief Christopher Hui, who leads the task force, says they would review the shortcomings and loopholes of the government procurement regime. The review includes training programs to enhance staff members' ability to identify potential fraud cases. As for whether a separate investigation committee is needed to identify who's responsible for the recent bottled water scandal, Hui says the Audit Commission has been invited to carry out an independent third-party review. He says the task force is expected to put forward recommendations in the middle of the 3-month investigation period. A fatal fire broke out at Hoi Tat Estate in Cheung Sha Wan this morning. A 59-year-old woman was found unconscious in the burned flat. She was later pronounced dead in hospital. Samantha Lee tells us more.
The tragedy happened in a flat in Hoi Wing House, where the exterior wall was charred. Firefighters rushed to the scene and forced entry into the unit, where they found an unconscious woman. She was taken to Caritas Medical Center, where she was certified dead. Police said they received a report at around 7 a.m. when smoke emanated from a flat in the building. Investigators believe the fire may have been caused by lit cigarettes. Meanwhile, firefighters conducted inspections at Middle Apartment in North Point, where another deadly blaze broke out on Saturday night, killing an elderly man. It is understood that the fire started due to a faulty air conditioner in one of the subdivided units. Some residents recounted how they escaped. This woman recalled it was extremely dangerous as she saw smoke billowing through her door. She said she poked her head out of the window and shouted for help before being rescued. The government has promised to get rid of subpar housing by legislation, but dwellers will have to wait up to 3 years for owners to modify their units. Some legislators said a lot of safety improvements can be done in the meantime. Eric Learn, lawmaker representing Hong Kong Island East, said a smoke detector should be installed in each subdivided unit to alert tenants in case there is a fire. He added that various community organizations, such as the government's care teams, can help with the setting up of smoke detectors and the purchasing of fire extinguishers. These equipments are sold online, with some priced under $100. But members of the public are advised to check whether the products are recognized by the Fire Services Department. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
At least 5 people, including 4 firefighters, were injured in a collision involving a fire engine and a private car in Typhoon this afternoon. A video posted on the internet shows a fire truck turning on the side after being hit by a private car at the junction of Ming Kum Road and Shek Pai Tau Road at around 3 p.m. The fire engine was on the side, its windshield smashed. Firefighters inside the vehicle suffered minor injuries. Meanwhile, the front of the private car was seriously damaged. Police investigations into the crash are underway. Uncertainty is growing over U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to arrange a meeting between Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump said at the start of the week that he was hoping to host the Russian and Ukrainian presidents in a trilateral meeting aimed at ending the war. But hopes are fading, with Trump considering fresh sanctions on Russia or even walking away from mediating. Nasri Karim with more.
These are Ukraine's US-made long-range army tactical missile systems, or ATACMS, intended to strike deep inside Russia. The problem for Ukraine is that they have been blocked from using them by the Pentagon. According to a Wall Street Journal report, the US is restricting Kiev from using the missiles as it tries to persuade Russian President Vladimir Putin to join peace talks. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has the final say, but neither the Pentagon nor Ukraine has yet to comment. US President Donald Trump is coming off separate meetings with Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He is trying to organize a trilateral summit with the two leaders in an attempt to end the 3.5-year war, but so far without success. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told NBC on Friday that Putin is ready to sit down with Zelensky once an agenda for a meeting is put in place. Putin wants all of the Donbas industrial area in eastern Ukraine in any peace deal, while Zelensky has steadfastly refused to hand over territory Russia has so far captured. Zelensky reiterated that stance on Saturday during a ceremony in Kiev marking Ukraine's National Flag Day. The flag is a purpose, said Zelensky. A purpose and a dream for many of our people in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, he added. They cherish this flag, they cherish it because they know that we will not give our land to the occupiers. The ceremony came a day before Ukraine launched drone attacks on several Russian power and energy facilities. The drones forced capacity reduction at the Kursk nuclear power plant near the Ukraine border. They also set a fuel export terminal in Ust-Luga in the northern Leningrad region on fire. The Kursk plant suffered a 50% reduction in operating capacity at Unit 3 of the plant. Russia said about 10 drones were shot down over the Novotek-operated terminal that processes gas condensate into export-quality naphtha, jet fuel, fuel oil and gas oil. A total of 95 Ukrainian drones were destroyed over 13 regions in Russia. Nasri Karim, TVB News.
Welcome back. Protesters for and against the use of hotels to house asylum seekers clashed in Liverpool and elsewhere in England. Abolish asylum system demonstrations took place across the UK, with one of the largest on Merseyside. Alongside this in Liverpool, a counter-protest was organised by a group so-called Stand Up to Racism. Police were seen leading demonstrators away from opposing groups and pushing back those from the counter-demonstration. Police herded a group into one area and created a human barricade. A court ruled this week that opponents of asylum seekers can fight hotels being used as accommodation for migrants. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage said if his party formed Britain's next government, he would carry out mass deportations and sign deals with countries like Afghanistan to repatriate those who come to the UK illegally. The Pentagon is working on plans to deploy the U.S. military to Chicago as part of President Donald Trump's vow to crack down on crime, homelessness, and immigration. Trump indicated that the Midwestern city could receive the same treatment as Washington, D.C., where he's deployed 2,000 troops on the streets. The Pentagon on Friday began ordering troops in Washington to carry firearms, despite no overt indications they are under threat. Trump has repeatedly described some of the nation's largest cities, which are run by Democrats, as dangerous and filthy. He singled out Chicago on Friday, calling it a mess. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says he has grave concerns about the impact of any unlawful deployment of National Guard troops. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois, the Senate's number 2 Democrat, called Trump's Washington, D.C. strategy political theater. Taiwan's second round of recall votes targeting legislators of the island's opposition Kuomintang party ended yesterday. All 7 lawmakers from Kuomintang held onto their seats. The recall votes, the second in about 5 weeks, were an attempt to restore ruling party control of the legislature after the Democratic Progressive Party lost its majority in a 2024 election. Altogether, 31 KMT lawmakers retained their seats, and the recall campaign targeting the mayor of Hsinchu was not passed. Beijing's Taiwan Affairs Office of the State Council says the results reflect Taiwanese people's dissatisfaction with the island's ruling Democratic Progressive Party. A severe typhoon Kajiki is moving close to Hainan Island. The southern Chinese coastal province is hunkering down with multiple precautions undertaken. They include recalling fishing vessels to take shelter with suspension of business operations, flights, and other public transportation. In Sanya, the southernmost city on Hainan Island, the weather further deteriorated in the afternoon, with winds packing more strength. Local meteorological center has issued the highest red typhoon alert in the morning. Starting at noon, Sanya announced citywide phase suspensions of classes and work, with the closure of all scenic sites. Also suspended are all rail, ferry, bus, flight, and taxi services in Hainan. In anticipation of the storm, authorities have evacuated around 20,000 residents in Hainan, with some 2,000 rescue crew members on standby. This as the government expects Kajiki to be the strongest typhoon to pummel Sanya in 40 years. The Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region has preserved many streets with architectural characteristics from the Ming and Qing dynasties. Saishan Old Street in Hohhot has recently become a popular photo spot for visitors, boosting the local economy. Jenny Jiang reports.
With its picturesque architecture and dazzling lights, Saishan Old Street, built during the Wanli era of the Ming Dynasty, still retains the layout of the Ming and Qing periods with a history of over 400 years. Tourists can rent ethnic costumes for around 150 yuan to add to the experience. Miss Yang from Hebei province said she feels Mongolia costumes are beautiful and wants to try them on. In the shops along the street, Inner Mongolian specialties such as mare's milk wine, agate jewelry, and copperware are abundant. The government has actively improved the surrounding infrastructure and services to support local businesses. An owner of a dairy product shop, Mr. Liu, said foot traffic roughly doubled that of 2020, which definitely helps its business. The area enters its peak tourist season after June, with a daily visitor count of around 20,000. The authorities said they have already made adjustments to accommodate the surge in tourists. Deputy Director of Culture and Tourism Bureau of Yuquan District Li Wei said Saishan Old Street has been lengthened from 380 meters to 600 meters in order to better meet the growing demand from tourists. Jenny Jiang, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.